Hi, everybody. This is the first time we're going live. This is Dr. Milan, nurse practitioner. I'm doing Instagram Live today, and we're just setting up right now for a 4 o'clock IG Live feed, and we're going to be talking about the gut microbiome. Just waiting for my co-presenter, Brandie Otero. Let me see if I can invite her. Okay. Oh, I just sent her a request to join us. And this is a great time for us to get some followers. Just text her. So I don't know if we have anybody with us watching yet. Hi, this is Dr. Milan, nurse practitioner, Lotus Integrative Health and Nursing. We're just waiting for our co-presenter, Brandie Otero, to join. And hi there. I know who that is. Got one person who's joined. Fix my hair. Hi, Brandie. Are you going to be joining me on this? Uh-oh, she's unable to join. I don't know what's going on there. Let me try. Hold on. Let me try one more time. It's not easy. There we go. She's on the phone call.
Hi.
Yay, there we are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Hi.
we got my son online who's joined us. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
First person. We don't know if we have others who will join. We do get an option to press to have the recording, so we should just accept that at the
And you
end.
can hear me. I use my earbuds, so you can hear me. Okay.
Yes, and you can
Okay.
hear me.
Yeah. I
Okay.
just want to have like my earbuds to my phone to the distance. So
Yeah, this is
yeah,
exciting.
this is
So
exciting.
yeah, we've got 2 minutes before we start.
So
Then
then
we
I
have
just hit send a request to be in, or no? We're good, right? So now
we're
we're just
good.
waiting. Cool.
We're just waiting for more people to join. So far, they said they let people know, I guess, the way this
Okay.
works. So
Posted it. We'll see.
we'll see what
So
happens. If not, we're going to record and we'll have it posted on the website and send and post. We can post links from this to the. Oh, we've
good.
got somebody else joining.
Friend Liz. My
Oh,
friend.
hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Exciting. That's
Hi.
exciting.
Milan
And
mom. Is that mom?
that is someone I know. Hey.
Okay.
And oh, there's I see some people I know. This is exciting.
Oh, good.
So
Good to
yeah, it's working. I know. Hi, everybody. So
Hi.
this is where we've got 1 minute to start. We're just waiting for some more people to join. We're going to be talking about the gut microbiome and the immune system, and of course, in this COVID environment, sort of how we can boost our immunity. And hey, mom and dad. Oh, wow, how exciting. My mom and dad are online.
Oh no, the parents are watching. Oh my goodness.
I waved at
That's
them.
a
That's
big deal.
exciting.
I have all of my books just in case we need to have references. Gosh, what a anyway.
So this is Dr. Milan Chivarkar, nurse practitioner from Lotus Integrative Health and Nursing, and I'm joined by my very good friend who I've known for a very long time, Brandie Otero, who is an integrative nutrition coach, and she has lots of great tips on. We're going to talk about the gut microbiome. It's linked to our lung microbiome, immunity, and this is, of course, the hot topic because of COVID. We really want to make sure we're boosting our immune system. And we're going to talk about, in that light, we're also going to talk about foods, especially hydrating foods and sort of probiotic foods. So I'm good to start. Maybe you
Yeah.
can just chime in and I'll give you a little brief overview of something that I prepared based on some information that I collected on some research material that I've been looking at and lectures that I've been attending recently, as I have been in the process of certifying through the Institute of Functional Medicine. And so let's get into it. And then, of course, if there's any questions, everybody can kind of, I'm
Yeah.
wondering if they can comment or, yeah, I don't know how it works. We're
Oh,
new to,
hi.
oh, we've got another, looks
We got
like
another
a,
person following us. Yay.
yay. We're new to IG Live. We don't want to tell you what generation we're from, but we can tell you this is exciting for us. And yeah, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about the gut microbiome. Brady's going to chime in a little bit. I've got something prepared. And then Brady's going to talk about her perspective from nutrition and sort of boosting the immune system. So I think a lot of people know about the gut microbiome. It is sort of the bacteria in our gut that are good for us. They help with digestion and protecting us from germs. This plays a role, important role in inflammation and immune system. And I can tell you when I started in the medical field, I won't tell you, well, it was 22 years ago, we did not talk about the microbiome, but this has become sort of the hot topic of this, this new age. And the gut microbiome is affected by diet. Brady's going to talk a little bit about that. Infections, exposures, drugs, smoking, what we eat, lifestyle, and stress. So, all of that stuff, all that
Every,
good stuff.
all day.
And every day. And, on the reverse, that gut microbiome is affecting our diet, our sleep, our lifestyle choices as well. And this is sort of a new field called epigenetics, where we can kind of manipulate our environment on how our genes behave. And I think we're going to see a lot more about that in medicine as time goes on. So I just want to go over what happens when all this bad bacteria or viruses, fungus, parasites, they enter your digestive system and they release endotoxins. And our gut microbiome is helping us fight that toxins, those microbes. And but sometimes that gut microbiome is off balance because of that or because of other factors, and that's called dysbiosis. And that dysbiosis, kind of, there's these gaps. The cells are really tightly linked in the intestinal sort of layer, that mucosa, and what happens is there's these gaps that form, and so we get inflammation, either the toxins or the bacteria, they enter the bloodstream through the digestive system lining that's leaky, and we hear about the word leaky gut. So interestingly enough, this leaky gut and my gut microbiome and this leaky gut syndrome and all of this is starting to get linked to other parts of the body, and our gut is linked to our lungs, believe it or not. And there's new research showing how the lung microbiome is really important to helping sort of our immunity against infections and respiratory infections, and one that we're all worrying about today, which is COVID. And so having a good gut microbiome is really going to be connected to our lung microbiome, our oral microbiome, our brain microbiome. Believe it or not, there's connections now with the the gut microbiome and the brain. So, so we really want to boost our gut microbiome because that's going to be that layer of protection that we're going to get from, all kinds of diseases. And of course, we're seeing links to autoimmune disease. And when we're looking at the gut-lung axis, we're looking at connections to, how lung disease. And so we know a lot of kids get asthma and allergies, and they have food intolerances. So again, there's this gut-lung connection, which is sort of the new forefront. And of course, with COVID going on, we're all really, that's sort of on the forefront of what the scientists are talking about. And of course, what the COVID community is talking about on how do we fight this disease. So let's talk about, Brady, you want to talk about some some of the stuff that you were thinking about talking about, and then I'll go
Yeah,
into.
I feel like, it's a really good beginning because a lot of people don't understand the connection. They want to treat
Hmm.
the issue, but not treat the body as a whole, right? So you have a
Right.
tummy ache and you're going to take Tums. You're not realizing
Right.
that is, a disconnect because you could have, all of these enzymes and prebiotics and probiotic things going on in your body that are off balance. So what you consider as like, oh, I just always have acid reflux. That's a really common
Right.
thing. I can't eat spicy food because my body just, I'm lactose intolerant. 99% of that is because you have an imbalance of the microbiome,
Right.
which is you're
Right.
not putting the healthy, pre-existing good foods to balance that to be able to digest all of those things. And people always say, oh, I have ulcers. I can't eat anything spicy or this, that, and the other. And it's not because you can, it's you haven't found the right chemistry. So everybody's body is different, right? So we're learning now with kids that have so many issues with their immune systems and Lyme's
Right.
disease and all kinds of stuff, intolerances and um, gluten, all of this is, some of it's genetic, but when we look at it genetically, that's less than 20% of our makeup. So we have a
Right.
success rate of over 85%,
Absolutely.
right? So when
Yeah.
people say, oh, it's just genetic, that's, throw it out. That's really such an old school way of thinking. We can
It is.
reverse, we can add, we can change that on a daily.
Right.
So when you talk about that, that's a really important factor. I have a lot of family members and people say, oh, it's just genetic. And it's like,
And
no.
that's where the epigenetics, I mean, that whole idea of epigenetics and really toying with, I mean, there's other external factors, but our internal factor is that gut microbiome. We could influence the gut microbiome, which could boost our immune system. Interestingly, when you're talking about GERD or reflux, we call it gastroesophageal reflux disease. When you look at patients who have GERD, they're thinking that it could be connected to lung disease. And lung disease, people who have lung disease can have digestive symptoms. Again, that connection between the lung and the gut. And we have to remember when we're eating, we also have microbiome in our mouth. And it sounds gross, but we have at least, we are swallowing 1 liter of saliva every day. And in that 1 liter of saliva is 100 billion microorganisms, which are going into our digestive system. So, when we're talking about, and then it's going to our stomach, it's going to our intestines. You have GERD, your
Yeah,
reflux, it's coming up into your mouth, it's going into your lungs. So it's all connected. And, when you've got a imbalance in one part of the gut, then, you could have imbalances in the other areas, like the mouth and like the stomach. I mean, like the lungs as well. So,
right.
and you were just talking about with the kids and
It,
immune
yeah,
issues and
that
yeah,
microbiome starts at birth, in the
right,
womb, right? So you have all of that fluid that's surrounding that little baby. Well, because you've delivered many, many babies and you can pontificate on this more
yeah,
so than me. I
yeah,
don't have babies, but just through my studies and, that microbiome is
yeah,
passed through the mom, through the birth canal and all
right,
of that
right,
goopy stuff that's surrounding the baby, that's all
yes,
healthy. That's immediately, as soon as that baby comes out,
right,
takes the first breath, all that microbiome that's in the nose, ears, all of those little things,
right,
that's the key, right? I mean,
right.
so really interesting when that's not even talked about during.
Well, and it's not talked about in your medical visit, but we know about that. I mean, research studies show, and in fact, we also have a microbiome of our skin. And so, in kids who aren't born through the vaginal canal, we are seeing more asthma, more,
Mhm.
and our breastfeeding, because guess what? We get microbiome through breast
Right.
milk.
Ostrium, all
So,
extra little proteins
right,
and things we need so we can
right,
grow up to be healthy, right? So
right,
as young kids, and we're that generation where our parents
yeah,
said, go outside and play in the dirt and get dirty to build your immune
mm,
system. That's real.
yes,
That's real. So when you're kind of hoarding your kids in the house, and especially right now
mm,
during COVID, and not to say that, don't touch, but being too
Yeah.
clean
Yeah.
could also pose the opposite for our bodies.
Right. Because then your gut microbiome also doesn't get to take action, right? So if we're
Release.
not letting kids get dirty
Right.
or we aren't getting enough
Right.
infections. So there's this balance between having too many infections and too less infections. Obviously, none of us want to get COVID, so we don't want that infection, but
Right.
the gut microbiome is playing a really huge role in that immune system, and we're getting to know more and more. And the problem is that the a lot of us are facing dysbiosis, and so how do we improve that dysbiotic sort of,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a mouth or a lot of, we're talking about the mouth, um, a real big clue that you have dysbiosis in the mouth is periodontal disease or gingivitis or swollen gums or bad breath. I gave a client, I have a herbal toothpaste that I can prescribe for people who have dysbiosis in the mouth. And this client used, the toothpaste, 3 times, and they're just texting me, "Oh my God, my mouth is already better." So
Yeah.
um, there's, that could be
Why not?
going down and affecting the lungs, or could be affecting the digestive system, and that's a clue into something happening. Um, some other symptoms I think to look out for when you have gut, like you were talking about, GERD,
Yeah.
reflux,
And there's
heartburn.
time. I mean, we both come from, well, you come from a very extended medical background. I'm new to the scene, 6 years going. So I'm coming from a very new perspective, but then science changes so rapidly
It
and
changes. Yeah.
so much information out there. And there still is a disconnect between clinical studies, a clinical
Yeah.
setting in a hospital,
Yeah.
and what you and I are trying to promote. And you came from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
strong clinical, and now you're in on the integrative side because there needs to be this discussion, right? These are simple
Yeah.
things that we can do that don't need a prescription. You don't have
Yeah.
to run to the doctor, and not to say that you need to self-evaluate. Of course, if you're having any issues, always see your provider first.
Right.
Make those executive decisions. You know your body better than anybody. And
Yeah.
then kind of be your own advocate. Don't just depend on the medical system to
Yes. Yes.
supply you with the things that you need. You have to be your own sort of pharmacist.
I've been telling people to take probiotics for, several years, and I don't think, it's just now where it's really becoming very sort of routine for your conventional medical provider to be telling patients to take a
Right.
probiotic. I still think there's a lot of patients who aren't told to take a probiotic. I
Oh,
put
and
all
I
my
tell
patients on a probiotic.
every single day, nonstop.
Yeah,
And
right,
you know,
right.
I will just on the cuff sort of suggest a prebiotic food or probiotic, not necessarily labeling it as that,
Mm-hmm.
but really
Mm-hmm.
wanting to sort of just push the
Right,
envelope a little bit, because these clinical diets that are prescribed to these patients by doctors that have never even
right.
participated in that particular diet, I'm just like, what are you doing? So I'm always pushing a little extra, and people
What are
are very.
you, uh-huh. What are you giving, what are you telling people to take? Because I know what I tell them. I want to hear what you're telling people to take.
So,
Like when they,
obviously on the clinical side of their diet. So I'm talking to
mhm,
them on a daily. I just transitioned from the clinical setting, so out of a hospital into our corporate offices, which is a
mhm,
blessing. And being that COVID is on the rise,
mhm,
and, I'm not going to say that I'm not excited about it. So I'm talking to people on the phone instead of being in
mhm,
their rooms bedside. So it's a very different experience for me. So my
mhm.
job is to make sure that they're eating properly, getting all their nutrients, all
Right,
these things. And right now we're seeing a huge influx of patients that are on renal and dialysis. So renal,
right,
kidneys, and the liver. And this
right.
is uprising, unfortunately, because
Mhm.
COVID takes such a forefront that there's a lot of people that are silently suffering with alcohol and drug abuse. And your organs that are affected the most is your liver and your kidney. So I am watching and paying attention to all of these patients that are coming in with all of this stuff. And so when they want to order something, they want to eat all these fatty things, right? Because we're used to having
Right,
stuff. And for me, I'm
right.
like, okay, well, maybe let's just try, a raw apple, or let's just try
Mhm,
maybe a bowl of vegetable broth or chicken broth or a little bit of
mhm,
jello or something that's going to hydrate the body,
mhm.
right? talk about hydration. That's kind of our
Hmm.
things, making full circle, and or maybe just like, a Greek yogurt, anything to kind
Hmm.
of balance out that body, and they want nothing to do with it, which is interesting, right? So
But we have a lot of people here who are interested in
yes.
this.
So
So,
want to focus on those people because you would think you're in a hospital and that would waken you up to want to be like, okay, I'm here and I have to eat this hospital food and do all these things and all these people, and it's not the case.
yeah.
It's not the case. So
Well, you and I were just talking about the SAD, which is the standard American diet, which, is so true. We probably, I mean, I know we both hail from other cultures where, they eat a lot more vegetables and they eat a lot more probiotic foods. I know yogurt is a big, um, sort of a big thing for my culture, there's a lot of fermented foods, in other cultures, and we just don't have that, and now we're getting sort of the interest in that,
mhm.
so I've told patients to have like kimchi or kombucha. I like kombucha. It kind of gives you that soda, people miss
Mhm.
their soda. It gives you
Yeah,
that effervescence. So
yeah,
you feel like you're having a little soda, but
right,
it
right,
doesn't have
right.
any soda in it. It's far from it. It actually has good bacteria and it has a little bit of fruit juice in it. So it's not bad. Anything else you've told people to take for fermented foods?
I'm always pushing water. I'm always pushing a lemon wedge. I'm always pushing things that
Mhm.
on a cellular level can change your body. Lemon is
Right,
powerful. Lemon is an
right,
antimicrobial. It boosts the immune system.
right.
People talk about, oh, I get up in the morning and have a glass of lemon water.
Yeah,
And why is that? Why? That sounds so weird, right? But it's important because you want to wake up your
right.
body, you want to get that going, you want to hydrate your cells, you want to sort of boost your immune system and your gut. And people always think lemon is acidic when it's quite alkalining the body. It's the opposite. Because
Hmm.
if you're
Okay.
at a high acidic level and you drink lemon water, it balances out those
Hmm.
acids and it helps to move all of that yucky stuff out through your GI tract, right? So our GI
Hmm.
tract holds probably about about 2 gallons of fluids, right?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. So when
Yeah.
you talk about people that are constipated and you talk about one or the other, right? So either you are on the opposite end and in between. And with patient care, if you're not pooping and peeing, you're not going home. It's that
Yeah.
simple, right? Because
Yeah.
they want to make sure all of your guts are working. And
Yeah.
that could apply at home. So if you are having digestive issues and you aren't
Yeah.
having a bowel movement on a daily, that's an alarm for your
Yeah.
body because your GI tract, your small intestine, lower intestine, right? We know like there's miles and miles and miles of this. If we lay it all
Oh,
out,
yeah.
right? So any of us have taken anatomy and physiology. I've been lucky to watch and see, a live autopsy where they pulled all the guts out, kind of like a scary movie,
Yeah.
and they lay everything out and then they hook it up to a tube and they wash all this stuff out and all that
Ooh.
stuff, all that microbiome. And even though it's decomposed, it's crazy to think like that's in our bodies, right?
Yeah.
It has to go
It's
through.
miles and
It's
miles. You're
miles.
totally, yeah.
And you wonder
And
how do you figure this all out? But there's all these little divots, that are in like little hair follicles,
yeah.
right? That we've learned and over time that
So,
hold
yeah.
these particles. And so if you aren't drinking water and
So, yeah.
hydrating
Yeah.
foods, it
Yeah.
solidifies. Instead of going like this, it becomes like this
Yeah.
and it hardens. And then our colons and everything kind of get a little
Mhm.
bit smaller. And then it creates inflammation because it's like a
Mhm.
snake eating a mouse. It's a bad analogy, but you can watch it as it starts to move down through the snake, and that's how your intestines are. But it can't do it without fluids, right?
Right.
And without all these other
Right.
things.
Well, in movement, those fluids are important for movement. And we're talking about like if you have toxins or bacteria that are, moving into your gut, then you also, movement is important, processing the amount of good bacteria you have to kind of fight those bacteria, help with digestion of the food. So prebiotics are really important. And of course, we're talking about fermented foods a little bit, about how to maintain that gut microbiome. Um,
Let's talk
and
about fermented foods because there's a lot
okay,
of questions about that. People don't quite understand why
Mm-hmm.
it works the way that it works. And in a lot of cultures, especially in the Asian culture, kimchi is a
Right,
really big fermented, right? People just assume
right,
it's just a garnish, but it's a culture. It's with
right,
all of their foods. It's not just a
right,
condiment, right? I have kimchi in my refrigerator. I buy
right,
mine at Joe's. It's organic. It's super inexpensive if you have time to make it.
right.
And the patience, great. I am don't have a lot of patience for it. And
Mm.
at first it tastes a little gross and it's kind of funky, but you have to find the right, one that works for your body. And
I love it. I love kimchi. I think it's great.
I,
It tastes great
with almost everything,
with
right?
everything. Yeah, I've eaten it with everything. That's a great fermented food. I know sauerkraut's a fermented food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I don't know if there's that yogurt. Yogurt is kefir,
Fair,
if you're not into, dairy, which I know a lot of people get inflammation in the gut because of dairy, we can do um,
right?
almond
Right.
almond-based dairy substitutes,
Non
almond milk or almond yogurt.
interesting topic, and we'll won't go into too much of it, but it's
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
as right our bodies sort of
Yeah.
lose that enzyme once we are past the process of babyhood, right? So when we're
Yeah.
in babies and we're drinking milk, and once we graduate, we stop producing that enzyme. But our American, culture is designed
Hmm.
to drink
Hmm.
milk, and it makes you strong and it
Hmm.
builds your bones, which is
Hmm.
a myth. Like say eating carrots helps with the eyesight. These are just sort of things that we've held on to in our culture,
Hmm.
right? We in the American culture, we think like these are great things, but we're sort of missing the reason of why we graduate from milk to solid foods. And then, as our time has come, the standard American diet and the food pyramid has changed so much. So they're realizing, back in our time in the 70s, right? Food was on the top of the pyramid, or meat was on the top, and
Yeah. Yeah.
bread and dairy, and then fruit and nuts were like on this like little side thing, like just have a
It
little
was
extra.
carbs in the bottom.
It was just like
You were
on the
supposed to have
bottom,
nine
like
servings
not
of
even, like not even at a
Yeah.
blink of an eye, and
Yeah.
processed
Well, and
food.
that doesn't feed the gut microbiome. That stuff
Right,
doesn't feed the gut microbiome. The carbs, in fact, are really hard on the gut microbiome. The sugars
right,
cause dysbiosis. So we talked a little bit about sort of symptoms that you would know that your gut. I kind of lost track, but I
yeah,
want to
sorry.
circle back to that. No, no, no. I mean, we want to make this fun and interactive and informational for people. So things that you would know that your gut microbiome's off. So we talked about the mouth and periodontal disease, and then we kind of were talking about heartburn and burping and abdominal pain, reflux. Lower digestion would be, of course, everything to do with your stools, and I always joke that functional medicine or integrative medicine folks are really obsessed with poop because it really can give you a lot of information, how your stools, diarrhea, gas, constipation. I know somebody just joined. She's probably like, oh, they're talking about
Yeah.
poop, but as a integrative person, we are,
Or
kind of,
every doctor you go to, right? They're going to do a stool sample, a urine sample, a blood
yes,
sample. Those
yeah,
three,
yeah,
not the greatest topics, but more and more people are talking about it. And like you said,
yeah,
in at your facility and at your practice,
yeah,
you do stool samples. You did a
right,
whole panel on your family and
right.
realized, we need to
I did
work.
one on myself.
Yeah,
I
right.
did it on myself first. And, of course, I have gut
Yeah,
dysbiosis. Surprise, surprise. I have heartburn,
yeah.
and have had heartburn since we were talking about pregnancy. I've had heartburn since I had my baby, who's now 12 years old. And, it's gut dysbiosis. And so when you do have, all those digestive symptoms, then that's a clue in that there's dysbiosis, there's something wrong with your gut microbiome. And somebody like me would do a stool test. The stool test is really helpful, and they're not offered by your conventional medicine practitioner. And we actually look at what bacteria, we look for DNA of all the bacteria, which
In
will
your
give you a
poop.
clue in your poop,
In your
And um, And it's really useful because it just gives you so much information about also if you're at risk for inflammatory bowel disorder, which is an autoimmune disorder, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. You know, of course, looking for parasites. Oh,
Oh, there she is. Okay. So,
sorry, I guess.
okay, so we're talking about, this is a really good thing, Crohn's disease, all these, inflammation issues in the lower GI tract, right? And swinging back to hydration, talking about the microbiome, this is a really important thing. So a lot of patients that have these, or people just in general that have, oh, I can't eat high fiber or low fiber or, spicy foods. And,
Hmm.
how do we make this something that's obtainable for everybody, right? I'm a simple person. I go to work. I'm a little bit weird about my food because I feel like that's my medicine. That's something that I really want to share. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big fan of meal prepping. I'm a big fan of sharing easy, simple
Right.
recipes. I'm a big fan of preventing things from happening. I have a long history of medical issues myself that I've overcome just through changing my diet and
Hmm.
realizing like it wasn't that I was intolerant to things, I just had an imbalance in my gut, which we talk about,
Right.
right? So switching things out.
Yeah.
For I don't know, hydration issues. Let's
Hmm.
go back to sort of a cultural thing. I am a big fan of hot cereal. Other
Hmm.
people, congee is a really important
Hmm.
dietary need in a lot of cultures. Asian culture, congee is a soup. It's a porridge. So every culture has their hot cereal in their morning, right? Latin has their, hot menudo, I guess you would have with different
Hmm.
kinds of garbanzo beans or and a broth, right? The broth is the healing property of this, and that's very
Right.
hydrating. You want to give your body a little bit of a break in the morning. With kids, yeah, it could be oatmeal, it could be cream of wheat, it could be another form of a hot cereal if they have an allergy or intolerance to certain things. And what this does is you want to kind of gradually start your body off with low fiber in the mornings or when you're first waking up, because your body is taking a little bit of time, right? So if you're
Hmm.
not a big fan of getting up and drinking water and you're a coffee drinker, and I love coffee, but you have to realize for every 1 cup of coffee you need to drink 2 cups of fluids because it's a diuretic and it makes you pee nonstop, and we know this. But that's also, you're losing a lot of
Right.
essential electrolytes, right? We
Right.
need those electrolytes. So if you're drinking coffee and you're drinking tea, make sure you're drinking, another alternative. Drink another little extra glass of water. Make a little hot soup in the morning. I
Hmm.
make bone broth every week, and if you're a
Yeah.
vegetarian or vegan, do it with vegetables. You don't have to
That's
do
right.
it with a protein. You're really
Hmm.
just wanting to extract all the goodness. You have your peptides and amino acids. This helps to
Hmm.
heal the gut. So people that are suffering with gut issues, seek out a really good bone broth. It's so easy to make. If you have an Instapot, that seems to be the hot thing. If you have a crock pot, if you have time in your home and you want to cook it on the stove, there's all different ways and ingredients, but the base is, this
Hmm.
kind of helps to line the gut, line the stomach, hydrate your intestines and your GI tract, and then you feel like a little bit more full throughout the day, and not full in a
Hmm.
negative, like I'm stuffed, but full in a sense of like, okay, I'm ready to start the day. And that kind of
Right.
sustains you. And as your day is going, and right now, because of COVID, and we can talk about this, this is a very high stress time, right? So we're wearing masks, we're breathing extra
Hmm.
heavy. I
Yeah.
catch myself realizing like my mouth is open like a fish when I have my
Yeah.
mask on, and thank God
Yeah.
nobody can see, because I feel like I'm gasping for air, right? And so in a
Yeah.
hospital, I'm wearing the
Yeah.
same mask, unfortunately, still after all of
Oh
this
my
time.
gosh.
The
Yeah.
same mask for 8 to 10, 12 hours a day. And I'm
That's
thinking,
right.
oh, it has all kinds of cooties on it. And and now luckily I'm in a setting where it's not as often, but I still have to have it within, grabbing distance for walking around, doing whatever. But
Right.
that pulls moisture out of your mouth, right? So you want
Yep.
to talk about mouth and all the nutrients that's literally coming out. If you live in a cold area and East
Yeah.
Coast or Midwest or areas where it's cold and it's snowing, it's raining, you go outside, And, when you go and your breath comes
Mm.
out, that's
Yeah.
evaporation, that's fluid, that's your
Yeah.
body moisture evaporating, and you're losing that. So dehydration comes in many forms, and there's other
Okay.
forms of hydration, not just drinking water. A lot of people don't drink water because it doesn't taste good to them. I completely understand that. It's not the most exciting, but we
Some,
can go ahead.
Brady, somebody had a question about lemon water
Oh,
and how it hurts the teeth. And I just wanted to say, yeah, you don't want to be drinking lemon water all the time. I think if you're drinking, one glass in the morning, which is what's commonly sort
yeah,
of, you don't want to be drinking lemon water all the time because it will, it's still acid. It's a mild acid.
right.
And I had one patient who came in for stomach pain, and we kind of talked it out, and I was like, what's going on with you? And then I'm like, what are you drinking? And he goes, well, I drink bottles of lemon water all day. And I
Yeah,
was like, well, that's going to hurt your stomach. At some point that's going to hurt you, and that's going to hurt your stomach and hurt your digestive system. So nothing, everything in moderation.
yeah,
Obviously, that's kind of my motto. Everything
balance.
in
I'm
moderation.
not saying suck on a lemon
Yeah.
all day long. And the
Yeah.
ratio of the dilution between a
Right.
fresh lemon juice really is maybe not even a tablespoon of water to an
Right.
8-10 ounce glass. The
Yeah.
equation, it's diluted, but you're getting the basic nutrients of that lemon,
Right.
to help kind of boost your immune system. And,
Right.
it's like an orange. You're going to eat an
Yeah.
orange. Orange is the same thing. Too much of an orange is not good for you.
Yeah.
Too much acid doesn't
Yeah.
balance out the body, right? Your body can
Yeah.
only digest so much.
Right.
So
Too much of a good thing is not
too
a
much,
good thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
um, I don't
Anybody?
think anyone's had any other questions. I do want to talk a little bit about how we treat dysbiosis, just and we can wrap it up. Um, so we talked about prebiotics, probiotics, fermented foods. Obviously, lifestyle is really important to improving the gut microbiome. I think
Yeah,
when things are really out of hand, you do need treatment. And so those are things that people would come to me for. Come to, what I do is a intensive sort of hour and a half long, first visit, and we go over everything, and do the testing, do the stool testing, figure out what's going on with your gut. And we have I wanted to show some products because people ask me all the time, what do you
yeah,
use to treat, dysbiosis? And so I just signed up with this company. I don't know if everyone can see it. This is called Biocidin. This is a complex herbal medication that helps with reestablishing or balancing the gut microbiome, killing off all the bad stuff and keeping all the good stuff. And then this is a product which we can connect you with if you become a patient. This is a toothpaste. And we just started using this. Of course, just gave this to my parents. And I know we all need help with our gut microbiome, right? And this toothpaste is really a great way to fix the oral issues if you have oral gut microbiome issues. And we've had some really powerful outcomes with these products. They're natural, they're herbal, they're essential oils, a combination of herbs and essential oils. And then we were talking a little bit about boosting the immune system, and I know people are really
yeah,
worried about COVID,
yeah,
and how do we boost the immune system? You talked about a lot of natural things, how to hydrate,
yeah.
foods, vitamin
I,
C.
yeah, just vitamin C, but everyday foods that are very inexpensive. I think people are really intimidated by the fact of, how am I going to do this? And, everyone's on a budget, and, everyone's at home and trying to figure things out. And,
Yeah,
instead of drinking your hydration, you can
yeah,
eat your hydration. So
right.
cucumbers, 99% water.
Yeah,
Romaine lettuce, 99% water. Tomatoes, 95% water. You could make a very
yeah.
simple salad,
Mhm.
and that enough will replenish your body. Bell peppers, I eat a lot of red, yellow bell peppers. I hate green. They're so bitter and gross. It's just my
I
personal
love
take.
green peppers.
Okay, to each his brown, right? I feel like they taste kind of a soapy, it's not my
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
bell peppers have more vitamin C than an
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah.
Um, so do potatoes.
Yeah.
Potatoes aren't the most hydrating, but they have a lot of manganese and copper and magnesium, things that grow
Yeah.
in the ground, and all that skin that's absorbed into that vegetable or that fruit. There's different ways to kind of balance out the body. So if you're eating foods that are grown in the ground, you have to think of the
Mhm.
energy of that food, right? So if it's upward rising into the body, it's going through the energy and through your chakras and through your GI tract, and everything is coming up and out. So it's really important when
Yeah.
I know it's fun. It should be fun. I
Yeah.
want you to be inspired. I drink miso soup from time to time, and it's
Yeah.
important what type of
Fermented. That's another fermented food.
miso you're using. I use a red organic miso. It doesn't cost a lot. You use a tablespoon or teaspoon of it,
Hmm.
mix it with warm water, but it's the seaweed that I use, and I crumble it up, and people say, oh, gross, that's so gross, but seaweed has so many minerals that our body
It
needs, and
does.
we
Yeah.
are iodine deficient as a culture. We don't
Yeah.
consume enough, other than
Yeah.
we connect it to salt, but I'm not eating tablespoons of salt, right? And
Hmm.
iodine is one of those things that helps with the thyroid. It helps with our hormones. As a woman, we're always fluctuating.
That
So
needs to be
me,
another topic that we talk
that's
about, I think.
a whole other topic. We could talk about like after Christmas, as we're all going through, and fluctuating. And, on
Yeah.
that button, women, if you're going through menopause, premenopause, you're getting hot flashes, especially at night, and you wake up 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and you're just feeling drenched and gross, that's water that you're seeping out of your
Yeah.
body. Lose about a cup of water a night. If you
Wow.
are sweating and you have night sweats and hot
Yeah.
flashes, you're
Yeah.
doubling that. So that's when you're
Yeah.
waking, you're just not cranky because your hormones are out of whack, and it's just you're having a bad moment. You're hydrated, you're dehydrated. So, cucumbers, bell peppers, broth,
Hmm.
like I said, if you have a bunch of scraps of vegetables, throw them in a pot with a bunch of hot water and a little bit of garlic. Garlic is amazing for the immune system and builds the
It
microbiome. It's
is.
antiviral, antimicrobial.
Yep.
Garlic is an amazing, amazing healing property. So is, ginger and turmeric, and you throw all of those together, and that's a whole other topic, right? So we can go on and on and on about it, but
Yeah.
I feel like a
So
lot of people.
immune boosting, I think you talked about garlic. You could do fresh garlic cloves. I know we're moving from sort of gut microbiome and immunity, but I know a lot of people have questions about immunity and how to boost their immunity. So I'm just going to give you a couple tips on immunity. Number one, check your vitamin D level. That's huge with the immune system. Fresh garlic. You were talking about it. You could crush fresh garlic and swallow. That will give you really good immunity. Vitamin C, which we already talked about, hydration and vitamin C foods. Um, and then astragalus is a Chinese herbal medication. I see my friend from East Bay Herbals. Yay, hi. And and uh, and then what are what are optimal vitamin D levels? 60 to 80. So if you don't have 60 to 80, you need to talk to your provider. Come and talk to me because I think everybody's looking to get 30, and that's the minimum. That's like the minimal
Yeah,
acceptable level. And I'm boosting people to, of course, talk to your provider. This is purely educational. Disclaimer there, whatever information we're providing is educational.
20.
Yeah, East Bay Herbals, I know, 23. I'm telling you, I've been at 30 for 3 years. I'm finally taking 5,000 units of vitamin D a
Yeah.
day. And
And
if
it's
you are
important
not getting,
to, combine it with K, vitamin D3 and K2.
yes,
It's really
yes,
important, very, very important claimer, because if you're just taking vitamin D, it
yeah,
leaches out the calcium in your bones, and it causes a lot of other side effects. And so this is a whole science, people. This is not just popping
yeah,
vitamins, and people are just going to take things when they see it on the
yeah,
shelf. That's a big mistake that a lot
yep,
of people do. And to understand
yep,
your chemistry, go to someone like Milan. Find somebody in your area. I know it's going to be a little
yeah,
bit extra and a little bit, kind of different, but as we're aging, you know, and
Yeah.
our system is depleting, we're losing so many vital minerals in our
Yeah.
body, and that builds our immune system, that builds our microbiome, that builds all of these
Yeah.
things. With COVID, this isn't going anywhere. You know, I know
No. Yeah.
it's a really hard thing to kind of wrap our brains, but we just need to kind of settle down and be
Yeah.
comfortable with being uncomfortable for a while and just trust that we can prevent things on
Yeah.
our daily within our own homes. You know, on your
Yeah.
grocery list, add an
That's
extra,
it.
you know, cucumber or two, add, you
Yeah.
know, create a bone broth. I think next
Yeah.
topic we're going to talk about sugar cravings and
Yeah.
holidays, and this is a really important topic because people are emotionally eating. You know, there's ways, and we're craving
Yeah.
things because we're stressed, and when you're stressed, that affects your cortisol levels, that affects what you're eating and how you're eating, and then our
Yes.
body's all wonky, right? So,
And our gut microbiome.
and
It
our
affects
microbiome,
our,
like the
because
number
that's
one thing right now.
the
We
number.
want everyone to have healthy, you know, BM
Yes.
movements. We want you to feel good. We want you to be able to sleep, you know,
Yeah.
vertically and
Yeah.
feel good and not having all these digestive issues. And a lot of these little things can be remedied
Yeah.
by simple tweaks. You know, I make
Yep.
a
Yeah.
cucumber water every other
Yeah.
day with my juicer. So I take 2 or 3 cucumbers, I juice them, I add a little bit
Mm.
of a pinch of Himalayan salt and water. And
Mm.
that Himalayan salt's really great. It's a magic elixir. You know, it doesn't zoom up
Mm.
your insulin levels and your blood. So, and it naturally
Right.
absorbs the body. So pinks, you know, Himalayan salt, you see it everywhere. People cook with it. This is such a great alternative. And
The
instead of
salt.
drinking sports drinks, a lot of people are reaching for, what is it called? The emergencies, right? The little
Mm-hmm.
packs. I have a couple like little things here. I only have them on for like display. I don't want to show the company because I don't want them to like come after me. But these are really
Yeah.
interesting. So people are running to the store buying these, and I
Yeah.
see them all the time, and they're mixing them into a bottle of water. And the issue is,
Yeah.
you know, look on the back panel. Everything is a trace mineral for a reason, right? So you're peeing 90% of that out. That's not even being
Yeah.
absorbed into your body. And the number one ingredient is
Sugar.
sugar and xylitol. We know
Yeah. Yeah.
xylitol and these synthetics are connected
It's
to
terrible for the gut
terrible
microbiome.
cancer causing, killing the
Yeah.
microbiome, you know, these
Yep.
synthetics. So if you're going to spend $1 on
Yeah.
one of these or $20 or $30 on a pack, you can certainly buy, you
Yeah.
know, a bunch of vegetables and make a broth and call it a day
Yeah. Yeah.
and create your
Totally.
own sports
Yeah.
drink ish,
Yeah.
replenishing, building the
Yeah.
immune. And your kids, this is kid friendly, these are animal friendly. You know, there's ways that we can sort
Yeah.
of get the word out. And people always ask me, like, why does your skin look so good? What are you eating? I was like, I hydrate. Hydration is a big part of it. You know, I'm coming through another cycle in my age, and I'm like, oh, I want to preserve, but I want to age gracefully, and I want to kind of avoid, you know, a lot of this stuff that's going on. And with COVID, like you said, it's really scary because, you know, so much of this is our immune system, but
It is. Yeah. So, I mean, really, I think, you went over a lot of why don't you tell people about your information where they can get recipes and things like that? Because you have so many fun things and tidbits, and I love it when I know you have Instagram, so tell
I
everybody about your Instagram.
and kind of, you know, on the whim of doing different things, but I feel
Yeah.
like I kind of want to take it up a notch because a lot of people do reach out, you know, can
Yeah.
you show that recipe? Can you post that?
Yeah.
Show me, not just cook something and be like, oh, I
Yeah.
got all the ingredients at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I do it because I want people to know that this is obtainable, this is budget
Yeah.
friendly, that these are easy tricks.
Yeah.
So as far as recipes go and where do I get inspired, I watch a lot of different people, you know, a lot of, I want to say social media, but I just read a lot. You know, that's another
Mm-hmm.
key is be, you know, your own advocate. Be careful where you're getting your
Yeah.
sources. WebMD, I would say, is probably the most where people get information.
Yeah.
It's the most credible, I think, of
Yeah.
a lot of these places. When you just Google
Yeah.
something, you're going to get a million things. But, you know,
Yeah.
be smart about it. Go into the Center of Integrative Medicine. I go through UCSD. That's where I
Yeah.
got certifications. That's where I've been working for the
Yeah.
last 3 or 4 years. And I just transitioned and left there. And now I'm at Scripps hospitals. So in San Diego, we have Scripps, which is like 5 or 6 different. So it's smaller, it's private, it's got a whole different whole nother ball game. But, you know, nonetheless, they have a
So
great integrative program.
you're on Instagram, right? Brandy Wine Tomato.
Yeah,
So people can look at your Instagram, and of course,
right.
you are taking clients for coaching, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
it's super exciting
I'm
part on this. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because
and
I think like,
yeah.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Milan.
No,
No,
no, I was
talk.
going to say I was going to let me. I was going to talk about me for a second.
Yeah, talk
I was
about
just
you.
saying I'm in Campbell.
Talk about how
Well,
amazing it is of what you're doing.
oh,
You came from, you know, a very different background. You know, you came from a nursing background, you came from midwifery, you've delivered babies, which is amazing. And I've known you for a really long time. And, you know, I met you when you just graduated with your first degree. And I mean, you're the smartest woman I know. So I feel
oh,
like,
thank you. That's kind of you. No, I mean, 22 years midwife, 18 years as a family nurse practitioner, and I'm located in Campbell. So if you're interested in, reaching out, fixing your gut microbiome, boosting your immune system, I do offer supplements. I got one here it's called Immune Active. I love this. This is what I'm taking right now for my immune system. Also, doing lab testing, doing, all of the stuff we just talked about, evaluating people for things that conventional medicine, typically conventional medicine has failed them, and really getting to true healing. So we're located in Campbell, but I'm doing telehealth visits for clients in California. That's where I'm licensed. And Brandy's located in San Diego, but I know she can also use telehealth to communicate with people if you're interested in coaching. Like I said, we're here to serve, and I've been working with people for 22 years, and I've had some successes, but I think there's also been times where I wish I could have done more, and that's why I entered integrative and functional medicine, because I think it really is the future of medicine, and it's the way we should be treating patients. We should be using more natural herbal medications, and more natural ways, lifestyle changes, coaching, to help people truly get better and stay healthy. So,
yeah,
that's the future. That's the future.
yeah, 100%. It's no fun. You
Yeah,
know, it's a reality every day going to work and dealing with patients on the other end. You know, I'm in a
yeah,
situation where I have to talk on the phone and I see patients' history, and a lot of my patients that pop up, you know, that are COVID positive and they're struggling just to talk and to breathe. This is very real. This is
yeah,
very
it
serious.
is.
I've watched more people um, pass because of COVID in the last,
Yeah,
you know, 3 months than I have in more people. And I'm not even a nurse or a doctor. You know, that's just being in a hospital.
yeah,
That's just having a one-on-one. I needed a
yeah,
reprieve. I chose to make a decision, and that's why I chose to go into integrative nutrition and health, because I think
right,
being proactive, having these conversations is really
right.
important. I think we need to get the word out. You know,
Yes,
so much information, and conventional doctors, you know, there's a time and a place, but we need to be able to not feel bad about it. You know, don't just trust one person and one
yeah,
source. Cross reference, check them out. That's how we
yeah,
learn through all of this, is, you know, referencing other people, and those that are a success want others to be successful. And that goes in the sense of health.
yeah.
If you find someone that inspires you, that's healthy, use them as your example or as your mentor,
That's
and, you
great.
know, pivot, because then that person's going to guide you to the next and to the next and to the next. And you know, we've
Yeah,
been friends for a long time, and it took us all of this to kind of come together as a, you know, to sort of, what are the chances, you know, that we're both on the same
yeah.
path at the same time. So it's exciting.
Yay.
Yay.
So we
So
have three other people. Thank you for hanging in there with us for
yeah,
this
you guys have any questions?
50-minute prepresentation. One
I
of
know
the folks is my
this
parents.
was our first, so I feel like, you know, we did the best and kind of figured something.
Yeah.
Anyone have
So this
questions?
is our first, yeah, I think, yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions. This is our first live. Glad mom and dad are there for the whole
I
thing.
know.
And,
Hi.
and
I think your brother
yeah, so look,
there. Yeah, a couple of my family members were there. Hi, everybody.
nice. I
And hi.
know.
It's really, it's sweet. You know, we need that extra support, not
Yeah,
just, you know, to promote ourselves, but you might know
yeah,
somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I know a person that
yeah,
knows a person,
yeah.
right? I mean,
That's how it goes. That's
that's
we're here as a community to take care of each other.
yeah,
So
and that
that's
most
what matters.
people at home and they don't have a lot of, they're not going to work as often. You're kind of watching each other more often. I think you're sort of on top of each other and being more accountable for, how we're behaving and how we're treating ourselves and being mindful and, how we're eating, not just what we're eating. I think a lot of this is just, we're transitioning into a whole new life cycle, and I think it's really important. So, it's good. This is a good conversation.
Oh, there we go. Mom and Dad need to order
Uh,
more microbiome stuff. Yeah, I know. Don't worry. We'll get it. We'll get you taken care
Milan's
of.
got the hookup.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to go ahead and end this. And if it's been a good talk, and thank you, Brandie, for joining me. And
Yeah, thank you for inviting
hopefully we'll get some more. We're going to do it again.
me. Come to my Instagram, come to our face page. We're going to
Yeah.
kind of create this conversation and keep things going. And I feel like,
Yeah.
this is very obtainable. All of these
Yeah.
things that we talk about, it's all good stuff. It's all
It
important.
is.
It's valid. It's nutrition
Yeah.
for the and for the body. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone for joining
Thank
us.
you. Okay. Talk to you next
Okay,
time. Bye.
bye.